Two, one. All right. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Secrets of the Mind of a Man, where we talk about how men think when it comes to dating, relationships, and love. And we got another great show today. You guys don't want to miss this show. I need everybody to wait to watch until the end because y'all gonna like what this show does. You're gonna like what we got going on. I'm bringing on my guys. I brought some guys, some gentlemen in, knowledgeable brothers. They're gonna join me as we have the conversation. So let's just get to it, y'all, and let's get to it and let's make this thing happen. Gentlemen, hello, welcome to the show. Welcome to Secrets of the Mind of a Man.
Thank you.
Good to be here with you, Kelvin.
Yes, good to be here.
Yes. Let me give a formal invitation or a formal introduction for our guest, for everybody that'll be watching, checking this out. Kwanu is a musician. He's got a project coming out. He's a knowledgeable guy. He loves to he's not ashamed to voice his thoughts and his opinions. So I knew I was going to have you on the show. I knew I was going to have you on the show at some point in time. And,
all right, bro.
I appreciate you being here, brother.
No problem, bro.
Yes, and I got my man, Dr. G Hightower, is in the building. Real Love Nation. He's a guy. He's a man. He's a man of God. He's a man of thought. He's a man who talks about dating, relationships, all that good stuff. And I wanted him to get. We've been talking about getting. I've been thinking about getting him on the show for probably since the very first time I saw you. Matter of fact, Dr. Hightower, somebody asked me if I knew you, like I want to say like last year this time. And so I didn't know you. And so since they mentioned you, I said, you know what? I'm gonna look this brother up. And I looked you up and saw you on Facebook. You was doing on your Facebook lives. And I started following you from that point on. And I didn't know that we was actually going to, I knew eventually at some point in time we was going to meet, we was going to intersect, and we are here. So I'm glad you're here, good brother.
Honored to be here, man. Thank you for reaching out. I appreciate it. And thank you for all the work that you do, brother. We all appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, I appreciate you guys coming. So we got a good topic today. And I want to make sure that our people are on in the Facebook land. If you guys are watching by Facebook, pop in and let us know where you watch it from. Type in the comment section where you're watching the show from. We want to know who's watching. We want to see who's into us tonight. See who's checking out the show on tonight right here. So I'm just making sure everything is good to go here as we blast off. And as well, if you gentlemen want to share the show, there should be a button there, or I can just drop the comment. We got Louisiana in the house. I'm gonna post it in the comments where you can where you guys can or you know what? Let me put it in the private chat. It don't matter. If you guys want to share it to your communities, you can do that as well. Or you could just follow me on Facebook and share it out from there. So let's get to the conversation. Gentlemen, today we're talking about, do men find independent women attractive? Dr. G, when you first heard this topic, tell me what was your first thoughts? You good. Tell me your first thoughts when you saw this topic. Do men find independent women attractive?
I immediately, Coach Kelvin, I immediately thought independent women are just a part of the culture of today. And strong men who are secure within themselves and have a good sense of purpose, we are not in the least bit turned off nor intimidated by strong independent women. In fact, I would say that strong men who are secure in who they are and really certain about their purpose, we draw from the strength of strong independent women. So I personally don't find that in any way a turnoff. I think it's a good thing. But the only thing that we do want, and I'll speak more so for myself as well as men who I know who are looking for their purpose partners, we just want women who will understand the importance of the two becoming one. That if we come together in relationship and ultimately move toward marriage, we're not going to be two independent conglomerations under one roof. We're bringing two awesome conglomerations together so that we can be in oneness. And that's the ultimate goal.
Okay. All right. All right. I'm sure Kwanu will be back. He must have lost his signal there, but he'll be back. So I like the way you said that. The two becoming one. So, but what do you think the real challenge is? Like, what's the problem? What's independent women, like we definitely all understand that we all desire a beautiful woman, a woman who has a mind. We understand that. So what do you think the rub is, Kwanu? What do you think the rub is with this? Like, what's the problem?
Well, I think that the women today have a different view of what men are supposed to be and who we're supposed to be, from watching movies and listening to false information and not following the mandates of scripture. They have come up with this fantasy guy, supposed to be 6'5", supposed to make $250,000 a year, supposed to be able to cook, take care of the kids, mow the lawn. But in reality, that's not us. That's not the majority of us. And for the man who loves the Lord, who has a purpose, he's having a hard time finding a wife. The Bible says that he that finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. And it's you don't find a woman and then you marry her and then all of a sudden she becomes a wife. She goes through this process when she's a child. Her mom teaches her the basic rudiments of being feminine, how to take care of yourself, how to take care of your home. And then when you get older, you those attributes shine.
Mm-hmm.
And then the man notices you. But those things are not happening today. And there's so many different variables that's causing it not to happen. But, it's a shame, really, what's going on in our culture. It's really a shame.
Yeah. It's definitely a difficult thing. And, I think that it's really, it's really a shame that we have to even have these conversations because, look, many of us have come up under strong mothers, right? We've had strong women in our lives, and listen, let's be honest. Many of us are who we are because we've had strong women in our lives.
Yes.
Mama. I remember this one time. She told me, make sure that we don't have. Make sure you lost your key. Don't lose my key. She said, "Don't lose my key." I said, "Ma, I won't lose your key. I got it."
Did you lose it?
So we get back to the house, and she said, "Where's the key?" And I said, "I did one of them." Boy, it went from light to dark.
Yes. Yes.
It was light outside, and suddenly I felt the darkness happen, right? Yeah. But it was the message was pay attention, right? It was you need to be responsible when I tell you something, when I give you something, and all of those lessons brought me to be who I am today.
Yes.
And so she wasn't any kind of weak woman at all. She was fully supportive of my father, in ministry. My mother, yes. And so as those kinds of women. Now, so since we set that up, right? What is the difference between women like that who understood their place, understood their power, and what that represented, and the position that women are in today. Anybody can
Well,
jump in.
well, let me just see if I can set this up. When I was coming up and when you were coming up, mom and dad, played a prominent role in our lives. So even the roles of discipline and nurturing, everyone played their role. And growing up with that kind of family structure, yeah, we still had struggles and different things, but there was something implanted in us, you know, other than the word. We definitely got that, and that was the foundation. It was the word, but we also saw our parents grow up as we were growing up. We saw them struggle. I saw my mom and dad go through different things. I saw my mom being a housewife. Then I saw her work at the school. Then I saw her work outside of the school. Then I saw her come back in the house. And the whole time, my dad always worked, you know, but it was 10 of us coming up, you know. So there was just something about that nuclear family,
Mm-hmm.
And today we don't have that. We have the welfare system actually chased the man out of the house.
Mm.
And because the man was chased out of the house, the woman had to take on both roles. She had to take on the role as a nurturer, then she had to take on the role as a disciplinarian.
Mm-hmm.
And women discipline their children differently than the way we do.
Mm-hmm.
So now that the women's going into the workforce and they're making their own money, now they're going around saying, well, you don't need a man.
Mm-hmm.
So all of these things are coming in. So if you say this and you speak to someone who wants to ridicule you, and I'm like I told you, but they can bring it. I'll take it, but I'm gonna tell the truth.
All
I'm gonna
right.
say it.
Hey, so speaking of that, you guys, you folks that's in the audience, go ahead and drop your questions. If you have questions for the panel here, drop your questions right there in the chat, and we'll address the questions right here on the show. If you got questions, if you're an independent woman, we want to hear from you, right? I want to hear your challenges and your struggles that you deal with every day as it pertains to this sort of thing. So, Dr. G, talk to us. What this independent woman? How did this come to be, and where are we with it?
Well, Kwanu hit the nail on the head. It was due to what we saw. It began in the 60s
Mm-hmm.
with a recession that brought us into practically a depression in the early 70s. Kwanu, remember where gas was so scarce that we had odd even days?
Mm-hmm.
So if you had an odd number at the end of your gas, at the end of your license plate, you went on certain days. And if you had an even number, then you went on other days.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't go, if you had an odd number, you couldn't go on an even day to the gas station. So we really fell into practically a state of depression in the early 70s, early to mid 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And so with the average Black family, they struggled. Black men struggled to find work. This wasn't only prevalent among Black families, but it was specifically, and I say, Kwanu, and I know you'll agree with me, it was strategically imposed on the Black family to divide the Black family. And so now if you're reliant on welfare, the family can't receive welfare if the Black man, if the father is in the house.
That's right.
And so that was very strategic. So that drove a wedge in between us as Black people and helping to divide the Black family, and ultimately bringing a huge level of imbalance and trauma to Black families and Black children in general, Black children in particular. Again, this happened across in many other communities, but it was really prevalent among us as Blacks. So that said, it caused the independent Black woman to come forth. And Kelvin, what we see now is based on what our grandmothers and our mothers went through. And now the evolution of the independent Black woman, which doesn't have to be a bad thing. I really want to put this out here so that we can really dispel and get rid of some nasty counterproductive soul wounds that we've all suffered from, which is continuing to bring division among us as Black people. As Black men, as kings, we got to elevate our Black women. We have to promote our Black women. We have to edify and pour into them. Now, that said, Brother Kelvin, Brother Kwandu, I will say this, that the independent-minded Black woman who says that I don't need a man, that woman is dangerous. And I ain't scared of nobody.
Talk about it. We're
You
going to
can
talk
send me a
about it.
DM. Listen, you can shoot me a DM on all my platforms. I'm on the same handle on all platforms. DRG Hightower, Dr. G Hightower. Hit me up. I'm ready for all the smoke. Let me say this, that it is not a strong woman that Black men are intimidated by or that we shun, because strong Black men, we need strong Black women. We love strong Black women. We adore you and we need you. And we're only able to function at the apex of our potential when we have you by our side in love and in support. But what we are struggling with and what brings a high level of contention is a strong-willed woman who identifies herself as one who is so independent that she doesn't need a Black man. In fact, she will go out into the world and say, the only thing I need a man for is to bring me give me a D appointment every now and then. Y'all know what I'm talking about. We all grown up here.
Talk.
I make my own money. I can do my own stuff, and whatever I can't do, I can hire somebody to do. All I need a man every now and then is to give me a D appointment, and I'm good. And that woman is dangerous because, number one, she's functioning outside of her divinely designed purpose. Number one, and number two, that kind of spirit and attitude, if it's permeated into the minds of other women, it infects them, which continues to perpetuate an infection in the Black family. So I'll land right there, Brother Kel.
I definitely agree. And you know, many of them, and I'm going to bring this into today because I had a conversation with a strong, intelligent, independent woman today who's looking for love, right? And she talked to me about this. She said, look, Kel, I'm having a difficult time even having conversation with some of the men of today, right? They don't have much substance. You know, they just talk about, oh, I'm just working a double. You know, she asked, what you doing today? And it's, oh, I'm just so tired. I'm working a double and I'm just, you know, on my way home, gonna find something to eat. And she said, I am hungry for intellectual conversation, next level thinking, to just be able to have that communication with somebody that's trying to build something, go somewhere, make something happen. And she said, it's very difficult for me to even find that, not to mention having that turn into love. So what's your thoughts on that?
I want to chime in on that.
You got it.
Like I was telling you earlier that I had a story. I'm finding it difficult to talk to women and reach any level of conversation beyond just the mundane. And it's so discouraging that, you know, because I've always been a heavy thought thinking person. My conversations have always been on that level because, you know, I'm an avid reader of not just scripture, but of ancient writings and history. I'm a musician, so I do a lot of research when I work on my songs, you know, different time zones, different time periods, you know, and I had a conversation with a lady one time, and she said, why do you always like to talk about that church stuff? And I wasn't mentioning the church at all, but she thought that my conversation was a church conversation, but it wasn't church. It was more along the lines of our personal walk with God, but on different levels. And I find it very, very difficult to talk to someone of substance. You know, I'm not, my conversation now, oh, I work the double. You know, I talk about a lot of different things. You know, I've traveled the world once as a missionary. I traveled the world 3 times as a musician, and I've experienced a lot of things. And I find that I don't like to just sit down with a young lady and tell her everything that I did. I like to listen to what she's saying
Mm-hmm.
and try to bounce things off of that to see where she is. And a lot of times I can't really get too far, man. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's kind of
Hey,
sad, but
hey, Kuanu, I'm sure the ladies are going to ask, so let's go ahead and get this point out of the way. Are you single?
oh yes, I am.
Ladies, he said he's single.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so just
Yeah.
look, I know the question is coming, so
Mhm.
I just wanted to just go ahead and get that out the way.
Yeah. Like I said, this young lady that I was talking to a couple of weeks ago, every now and then on all of my albums, I go back to the 60s and 70s and I pull up an old tune and
Mm-hmm.
then I redo the song.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you ever heard of Karen Carpenter, the Carpenters?
Sure.
Back in the 70s, she did a
Yeah.
song called Close to You. Well, I have
Yeah.
a reggae version of that song. So I
Okay.
said, listen to the song, get familiar with the song, and then when you're ready, I'll bring you in and we'll go ahead and we'll do the reggae version. Well,
Mm-hmm.
she listened to the song, then she said, oh yeah, I learned the song, so I'm ready to do it. So I said, okay, I just wanted you to listen to that version to be familiar with it. So now when you come into the studio, now I'm going to produce it.
Mm-hmm.
And she got mad to me. Oh, I did all that. You wasted my time. I said, no, I'm not wasting your time. And I basically said, it's okay. I can find someone else to sing it. And she got offended. But if I was working with a saxophone player to do a part, and if he didn't do it the way I wanted, I said, that's okay. I'll get someone else. He wouldn't get offended. Your voice is an instrument. The horn is an instrument, drums, whatever. But
Yeah.
she was offended to the point where she tried to say, oh, your music is your first love. No, God is my first love. I express my praise through my music that he
Mm-hmm.
has given me.
Mm-hmm.
But if you knew me, you would not say that music is my first love. I used to hear that back when I was 16 years old.
Yeah.
Oh, music's your first love. Yeah, it was. It kept me off the streets. It kept me away from drugs. I've never been to jail. I don't have no criminal record. Why? Because music kept me in a positive place in my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but
So
like I
look,
said,
so what you just described is the disconnect.
yes, yes,
There's a
yeah,
disconnect
yeah,
between the conversations. Like you're thinking we're coming in here to do business. We're gonna take care of the business,
yes.
and she's thinking relationship first, business second.
Yeah. Well, in music, when you're working with people, it's sometimes it's all about the moment.
Yes,
So
the
I try
energy,
to get
the
all the people
vibe.
prepared enough. So
Yeah,
when we come into the studio, there's an atmosphere, there's a moment. So if you're familiar with the song when you come in, the
yeah.
song may go one way, but I'm as a producer, I may say, okay, well, sing it like this.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm forming and I'm shaping it because I can hear what you're doing. So that's what a producer does.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah, yeah,
saying?
yeah,
But
yeah. You just gave me a flash thought of I used to run the praise team and the keyboard player, and my wife was one of the singers, and after every rehearsal when I got home it was a long night, brother. It was a long night. I'm like, listen, we got to get the best person who fits the
yes.
part. Let's take care of the music. No,
Yeah.
you're supposed to let me sing. Well, if Susie has the voice for the part, we let Susie sing the part.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. But
Exactly. A perfect example of that, Kelvin, is producer extraordinaire Warren Campbell and his lovely wife Erica Campbell of Mary
yeah.
Mary. So, as you all noticed, on most of their biggest songs, Tina is singing most of the leads.
Mm.
What's interesting is that throughout their life as they were growing up, Erica was always the star singer.
Okay.
But as Tina grew and as she evolved, she had a higher tone. They're both sopranos,
Mm-hmm.
but Tina is probably a more truer first soprano.
Yeah.
And then when you're talking about singing a song, a gospel song, especially a gospel song with an R&B lick, Kwanu,
Mm-hmm.
Tina has that voice that can carry over.
Yeah.
right? Whereas Erica's voice is, I'm gonna take you home the gospel, I'm gonna put you on the altar,
Yes,
you
sir.
know.
Yeah.
And so Warren, being the producer extraordinaire that he is, he didn't use his wife. He more so used Tina.
Mm-hmm.
And their song "Go Get It," which they won a Grammy, Tina singing. That's Tina singing all on top of that song. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Erica's in there, and
Mm-hmm.
Erica always does her thing because I love Erica's voice.
Yeah.
But when you want that hard sound that's going to transcend the gospel arena and go into
Yeah.
R&B, and you
Yeah.
got "Go Get It" playing up in the clubs,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
Tina's voice singing that
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And
See,
so,
that's
to
the
your point, Kelvin, you always
yeah.
want to get the best possible one, right, Quanu?
Yes. Yes. And that, see, the thing is, you know, like I play reggae, you know, and I'm a minister. So I'm blending gospel music and reggae music. So that's why I go back to the 70s. I'll take a song like Close to You by Karen Carpenter, but I'm changing the lyrics about being close to God.
Beautiful, man.
So
Beautiful.
I'm laying the gospel on top of the reggae, and it's an American reggae.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm American.
That's
I was
beautiful.
born in New Jersey. But, you know, it's an American reggae. It's like I'm trying to reach, you know, a different ear, because a lot of people really they're waiting to hear something different. And,
Yeah.
you know, that's the product that I have, you know. But,
Absolutely.
you know,
Absolutely.
I have respect. I have respect for the women in our culture, because, you know, and I watch them a lot of times, even sometimes, you know, as men, you know, we do get cussed out.
Oh
We
yeah.
get cussed out by women. And I find myself, I get very quiet when the woman throws an attitude at me in the public, and she doesn't know me, and
Mm-hmm.
she's going, "Oh, you black men." It just happened to me at Home Depot a couple of days ago,
Well,
and I
well,
got very quiet.
we're going. I want to come back to that because
Okay.
we got to, because look, in order for us to get to the understanding we need, we got to have a conversation about what's going on and how we are dealing with what's going on, right? So let me jump into this comment. Demetria, one of my girls, she said there are still independent women who need a man in the home. Yes, I need, she said, but most women do not feel they do.
Yeah.
Dr.
We
G,
appreciate you, Demetria. That's wonderful.
Yeah, a beautiful statement.
what's the problem? Why do these, why is there such a protective energy around this thing?
So let us first and foremost, Kelvin, let us take, and Kwanu, let's take ownership as
Mhm.
Black men.
Mhm.
We have been, to a large degree, not solely, but to a large degree, we have been responsible for a lot of the hurt that our Black women especially have experienced.
Fact.
We're responsible for the
Fact.
hurt that they've suffered, the betrayals, the abandonment. I know I confess my mess. I know I've been guilty of
Me too.
hurting some
Me too.
beautiful Black women who wanted to love me, wanted to be there for me, gave me their support, but I was too immature. I was too puffed up with pride and too focused on just doing me and doing my music and doing whatever I was doing. I was so focused on that. To your point, Kwanu, I was married to ministry and not thinking about my marriage to the woman. And so the marriage became my wife, and my wife became the side chick. And so we have been responsible, Kelvin, in hurting a lot of our women. So that has also helped perpetuate this emerging independent woman who says, I don't need a man. That said, women must also take responsibility for themselves, because even though we all of us have suffered through some levels of trauma, all of us deal with some level of mental health disorder, pain, or dysfunction. All of us. We, even though that may be true, it is true, it is still the responsibility of every person, no matter what you go through, to make healthy choices for yourself. We can't forever live in this place of hurt and pain and
Right.
resentment and bitterness. We can't live in that place forever.
That's
And
right.
say, well, I would be trusting a man, but I can't be trusting these men because, you know, they ain't no good. They ain't never been no good. Shout out to the late, great Queen Aretha, you're no good. You're a liar. You a cheat, Well, every man is not a liar and a cheat.
Right.
But
Right.
if we are looking through the lens of pain, it prevents us from giving love and receiving love. And
Right.
so I think, Kelvin and Brother Kwanu, I think our job is to really make sure that we are first and foremost demonstrating love, what unconditional love looks like, what agape looks like.
Mhm.
We need to demonstrate that to our sisters. We need to approach them with love and honor and respect, and not just try to celebrate them and give them compliments just because we're trying to get in the cookie jar. Y'all ain't gonna say amen, but I know I'm teaching.
You're right. You're right.
But that we really edify them sincerely, absent of any desire to hook up, but we just honor and celebrate them. And then I think in doing so, I think we'll start really developing good, strong, healthy relationships that don't have to lead to a hookup.
Right.
And then as we are in relationships, and I'll land right here, Kelvin, as we are in relationships, man, love unconditionally. You all have heard it said, you've seen the meme that we should love as if we've never been hurt before. And if we love that way, which is the way that God really intends us to love, if we love that way, we'll be able to secure the heart of that woman. And everything we pour into her will just make her blossom and flourish.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So Kwanu, talk to us. What is it? What's stopping us from doing like what Dr. G just laid out? We can't even deny anything that he just said.
That's
Right?
right.
How
Well,
do
I tell you,
we
man.
execute on that?
Dr. G, you hit the point. You hit the nail on the point because when I look back at my life, all of the women that I've hurt, when you sit down and had an introspective moment, it's like you say, wow, I was, we all said, man, I was young, I was immature, my mind wasn't really focused on trying to build a family. She was a really nice girl and she really did care. We look back and we see that. You know what I mean? So then when we get older, we realize, you say, like for me, I'm like, the next time this thing happens, I'm much more on point. So that's why when I look at my sisters, when they go off whatever, I get quiet. I don't go back at them because I understand why they are. And they don't even know me. They yelling and hollering and fussing at me. They don't even know my name. So I know it's not personal.
Yeah.
I know it's from another hurt.
Sure.
But what I do is I react differently than what they're used to. I get very quiet. Like I tell you, I was in Home Depot, and the lady, she was going off on me, and I sat there, and I just looked at her, and I let her say everything that she had to say. When she got done, I said, "Thank you, ma'am. You have a nice day." And she didn't know how to come back at me. But because with my job, I go to Home Depot often, I see her all the time. So the next time I saw her, I said, "Good afternoon, ma'am." She said, "No, good afternoon, sir." And then the third time I saw her, she said, "Listen, I just want to apologize." I said, "Listen, it's okay." I think it was on a Friday. I said, "On Fridays, I allow that on Fridays." So you was good. I just made a joke out of it. But I understood where it was coming from. So, it's just so much going on. It's like, how did you get to a place where you can actually sit down and meet somebody and have a conversation? Because that's for me, any relationship that I have, there has to be a solid foundation of friendship.
Yeah.
So that takes time. Let's go around a couple of seasons as friends.
Yeah.
Because my thing is, I know I have my own bricks. I developed my own bricks. So I'm not even tempted.
Yeah.
Because I know what my purpose is. So because I know what my purpose is, I'm not distracted by pleasure. So let me get to know your mind. Let me listen to what you're saying. Let's go around a couple of times, because I think women need, especially strong, independent women, they really need some time to be in our midst, where they
Yeah.
don't have to worry about, oh, what you bringing to the table? What I got to bring? Well, I got this
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
instead of all of that, you know, let's just
Agree.
bring it down for a minute.
Yeah.
You know, and but I don't know how we can, you know, approach that threshold.
You know, I know how we can approach it. Really, what you're hearing with all of that, right, is protectiveness, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure you don't hurt me, right? So it's like if you ever had one of them sores, you know, there's a kind of sore, abridgment. It's called an abridgment, right? My sister told me, she said, you know, she said she's talking about her son, which is my nephew. She said he had what's called an abridgment in his leg, right? And an abridgment is simply he had an injury to his leg, right? And it healed on the outside, but it didn't heal on the inside.
On the inside, yeah.
Okay. And so it's healed on the outside. On the outside, it looks fine. Looks like, you know, something that happened a long time ago is no problem. But underneath that healed skin is an unhealed wound. Right. So what the doctors had to do is they had to go back in. He had to go to the hospital. The doctors had to cut open what looked like it was already open, what looked like it was healed. This injury looked healed. They had to go back and cut it open and take care of the actual injury inside of his leg. Okay, they had to take care of that, and then they had to stitch him back up. Now, while the thing looked like it was healed, guess what? It was still hurting him. He was still in pain, although he looked healed on the outside. And I believe there's a lot of people who are their hearts are that same way, right? You look at them on the outside and they smile and they look good, they look happy, they look like everything is going well, but on the inside, they are still hurting and they're very sore, and your presence pushes against that soreness sometimes, right? And so that's why you hear that come back, like I don't need you, I don't, you know, all that negative energy, rage that you hear out. That's because that place inside underneath is still hurting. Did you do it?
Kelvin?
Did you do it? Probably not, right? It's probably it could have come from her father. It could have come from former people who injured her, but she learned to deal with it. She learned to look the part and look healed, but she really wasn't healed on the inside. Go, Dr.
Kelvin, that's something again that we all deal with. That's called an emotional trigger. So what happens is, and let me say this, I'll preface what I'm going to say by saying this: every word matters. Every word matters. And sometimes we're reckless with our words. We just throw words out there with no filter. And we got this whole thing, Kwanu, this whole keeping it real. And, everybody wants to always keep it real. Or I'm just direct, but the word tells us that we are to speak the truth in love. The word tells us, don't just let your words just be flying all over the place like like you're a loose cannon. The word says, let your words be few and seasoned with grace. The word says, Brother Kelvin, in the book of Proverbs, that a word that's fitly spoken is like apples of gold and pitchers of silver.
Yeah.
This is how we should be delivering words. If we have to edify someone or give constructive criticism to someone, it always needs to be wrapped in love. All of this direct stuff, and I just got to say what I got to say, that is not speaking the truth in love. And when you speak like that, you are going to inevitably trigger someone and push a button that's going to cause them to remember something that's painful from their past,
Yeah.
or cause that wound that you were just talking about that looks like it's been healed because it's all sewn up and the stitches have melted, but underneath the surface, that thing is still painful. And when you rub or put pressure up against it, it could rupture and become a wound all over again, and actually become an open wound, which can ultimately get infected.
Yeah. Absolutely.
This is the same thing as that happens in the physical realm. It's the same thing that happens in the soulish realm or the spiritual realm. It's the same thing that happens. And so, in fact, I did a study, Brother Kelvin, on the 6 components of an infection. And so when you looked at it on a physical level, the 6 things that will happen that can cause an infection, that if it's not treated, it can lead to a part of your body needing to be amputated. Well, those same 6 components that cause a physical infection are the same things that cause a spiritual or an emotional infection. Right, Brother Kwanu? That you become infected because of some trauma that's been healed. And then let me say this, and I'll land my plane here on this point, that we as men, we haven't been taught how to express or address our emotions. So most of us either lack emotional intelligence or we are emotionally unavailable.
Right. Sure.
So because we as men, we were taught to suppress how we feel, not express how we feel. Women were always brought in, oh, come here, baby, it's going to be all right. Tell me how you feel, sugar. Us, we were taught, put some mercure comb on that thing. All right, boy, get back on outside and be stop crying. Man up and be a man. That's what we were taught when we were 7, 8, 9, 10 years old.
Yes.
And so we become emotionally unhealthy from childhood because we were never taught, for us as men, that it's a safe space for us to come and share our emotions. We were taught to suppress them rather than express them. And so this level of emotional unhealth, if you will, it causes us to bring all of this stuff together in our relationships. And if we don't address that, if we don't confront those issues and get healing, if we don't sit ourselves down somewhere and get some counseling and get some therapy, or at the very least, go to a great person like Kelvin and get some coaching, if we don't get through that, we're going to be carrying those soul wounds into one relationship and out of another, and into one relationship and out of another.
And look, and we as men, we're good at that. Like we'll shake one off and go on to the next one like it's no big deal, but never really getting the healing that we need. And so we end up being like that abridgment that I talked about. Like we end up being that. And so somebody rub up against that, and so since we can't say you hurt me, I'm hurt by that, what we say is rah. I'll punch you in your face.
It's fight or flight. Exactly. And so what happens, Brother Kelvin, is we become shout out to the Ohio players, we become like a love roller coaster. Just in and out, in and out. You know what I mean? Roller coaster.
That's right.
Your love. Say what? You know, I mean, we just go in a relationship like a love roller coaster.
That's true. But I think what really happens with us when we are in a relationship with a woman who's like a really good woman, she sits you down and have that conversation, and all kinds of stuff is going on inside of you. But now you're really starting to face those things. It's like a good question to ask is, what is the one thing that you struggle with? When you are in getting to know somebody, those are the kind of questions that I ask. Like, what is the one thing that you struggle with? I don't even want to know how you dealt with it yet. That can come next month. I just want to know, what is that one thing? Let me know what it was. Just let it cook. Let it marinate on me. Let me think about what I heard you say. Then it opens the door for us as men to be able to share those things that are going on inside of us, because we got to keep this macho thing up. I want to look good. I want to be good on the outside. Then you marry them, and then after a while, the other side of us, because we have a good side and we have a side we try to hide. It comes up, and when it comes up, she says, "Oh, I don't like that side of you. Oh, I don't like you. Oh, I'm not happy. Or I want a divorce." And we're saying, listen, there's some nasty things about me this as well as some good things about me.
Mm-hmm.
And if a woman loves me, she may not have to love both sides, but at least see the other side and tolerate it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
And you
because
know,
we have to do the same thing. You
yeah.
know?
No, Quanu, but I disagree with you, brother. She does have to love both sides, because guess what?
Yeah.
We have to love both sides of her. That goes back to the unconditional love factor. That's
Okay.
agape love.
Okay.
Jesus loves us, every part of us, our messiness. And guess what? He knew we were going to be messy before we got messy, but he loves us nevertheless. We have to love our woman when she's feeling good and when she has hormonal changes and she ain't feeling good.
Right.
We have to love her on her great days. And when that time, when the visitor comes, we all know what the visitor is.
Yeah.
That comes monthly.
Yeah.
When that visitor comes, we have to love her and be kind to her, even when she's not being kind to herself.
Yeah.
I mean,
let me correct myself.
when the cat and the dog know, okay, mama's home today. Hey, you know, even when the cat and the dog want to go hide, you know what I mean? We still have to love, right? So she does have to love all facets of who we are. She does.
Let me correct myself. I say they might not like that side, because
Right.
you're right. You're right, because you know, when you truly love somebody, you do love everything. You know, I may not want to deal with you right now. That doesn't mean that I don't love you. You know, I spent many days, you know, getting chocolate, making tea, going outside, taking a walk. You know, where you going? I'll be right back. You know,
right.
give it a chance to cool off. You know, got the air conditioner
take
on,
a quick drive.
Got the fan on, got the heat on.
Let me
just
drop
with you. You know,
hey, let me just jump in on this and say, look, I got the call-in number here, you guys. If y'all want to go ahead and call in, we can take a call here live on the air. We got the number right here, 540-792-0128. Put in the code number 909-796, and we will get you in on the air if you want to just drop a comment. As well, you know what? If you the way we got it hooked up, if you want to jump in on the chat, you could do it on the YouTube side or in the private Love Coach Atlanta Facebook page. So we got some comments from that on my personal page that it doesn't register here on the screen. So my man Robert Lee is watching. He said we need to understand some women were raised on survival, not love. Good stuff. Keisha Washington said, I love this topic. She's loving this. My man Robert Lee said again, well, I can't walk on eggshells or be responsible for those areas she hasn't healed. Quanu, talk to me about that. Like he said he can't I can't be responsible for those things, for those, or walk on eggshells for those things.
I don't think that women are looking for their mates to be responsible for what happened to them in their past. But I think that if she's where she is, if you want to be with her, there's nothing wrong with sitting in the same place where she is. That's love too. I'm not responsible for the hurt that you've been through, but I'm gonna sit right here with you. I'm gonna heal with you. You know, that's what, you know, brothers like, yeah, that's my homeboy, you know, I'm with you, you know. And women are the same way, you know, that's my sister girl, you know, that's my ride and die. So as couples, we need to adapt that too. That's why I think that even for me, you know, the foundation of friendship is important, because sometimes in relationships, you have to revert back to just the friendship. You know, I heard, seen a meme on Facebook, and the guy asked his girlfriend, what's going on? She said, nothing. So he said, okay, so right now, I'm not your boyfriend. Right now, I'm your best friend. He said, what that Nick do? You know, but it was just an illustration of sometimes you have to just revert back to the friendship in order for you to be able to hear what she's saying or to be able to express what's going on with you. And I think for us, man, you know, we want you to tell me what's going on. A, B, C, boom, boom, boom. Let me hear it's the solution. You know, go take a nap or drink some tea, whatever. But sometimes things are not as cut and dry. You know, women are emotional. We're more logical. You know, and I look at it like, you know, like when you wear glasses, I can see things close up. But seeing things far away, I need glasses.
Yeah.
So when I put my glasses on, you know, now I can see things far away. I think that in relationships, maybe the woman can see things close up and the man can see things far away. So when you guys come together, you have that full vision.
Man, it's
so
powerful.
It's just a matter of being able to cooperate with one another.
Yeah.
You know, and we're living in a time now that it really doesn't matter who's making the most money, because money, first of all, is not our God. So if someone is saying that, you know, since I make more money than you, I wear the pants and house, I'm gonna tell you what to do, then, you know, that's really not that's not cooperation.
Yeah.
You know, it's not. You know, it's all about what do you guys really want to do? So finding someone that wants to do the same thing you want to do. And I'm not talking about, oh, I want to go on trips and travel. That's not doing something.
Yeah. Dr. G, Dr. G, you might have to go out and come back in. You froze up on us.
Yeah.
If you can hear me. Go ahead, Kwanu.
Yeah, you know, that's not doing something. Doing something is you know, what are we going to do to change the world? Because, you know, as Christians, we have been commissioned to change the world. So we have to teach our children how they're going to change the world. We have to sit down and strategize and plan. How are we going to impact this world that we live in? You know, so, you know, it's hard finding somebody that's thinking on those levels. Everybody say, oh, yeah, you know, I want to travel. I want to go to Italy. I want to go to Rome. I want to, you know, okay, well, if that's what you want to do, go ahead. You know, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm still looking. You know what I'm saying? You know, because it's, for me, you know, I mean, our resources are really vast. You know, it's just a matter of being able to tap in. But even as a community, we have to learn how to come back together as a community. And I always say this, that and I get flack for this, but in your neighborhood, if you have a church in your neighborhood, and if there's broken glass on the ground around that neighborhood, that church is not doing its job. You say, well, you're talking about broken glass. Yeah, I'm talking about broken glass and bottles on the ground. Because you already taken for granted that everybody in that community has shoes. So now if they got shoes in their feet, they're not really thinking about what's going on with their soul. Because it starts with their feet. You know, we need to be barefoot sometimes to be connected back to the earth. Oh, now you're getting spooky. No, I'm not getting spooky. We want to talk about what happened to our community, what's going on with us. Look at what happened to the Hebrews when they went into captivity.
All right, hold on.
Yeah, because I can go there.
Yeah. Not today.
I'm sorry.
Today I want to stay with the topic today if we could. Do men find independent?
Hey, Calvin, you know I love you, buddy. Hey, you know, hey, Dr. G, he always know how to keep me on point because he know, man.
I know you'll go there with it. So you know, all right, fellas. So this is something. Let's start giving some clues, right? Because there are some, like, this is a real problem for a lot of women. I'm planning a panel of these women, these independent women who are business owners, who got their lives together, they manage their own things, and all they are looking for is the man to fill the picture. You know, in their lives, they got all that stuff, and so I'm bringing a panel of them on to kind of talk about their perspective and the challenges they face out here as they're dealing with men and seeking love, right? But I want to give them some hope. I want to give them some pointers, right? And I'll start off with some things that I think that the independent woman can do to bring herself. I hate even to phrase it like this, like to just be the catch that men really do desire. Because look, we have to admit, fellas, there are a lot of men who do not want to deal with an independent woman. Okay, we have to admit that there are some men who just she isn't what they are looking for.
But I think, Kelvin, we have to define independent, though. Before we make that statement, we have to define independent, because for me, I believe that there are independent women and then there are independent-minded women.
Mm-hmm.
The independent woman is independent by default. She's on the pathway of her purpose.
Mm-hmm.
She's gone to school, she's gotten herself educated, or she is a woman who's doing well on her job, she's pursuing career goals, or she's an entrepreneur and or in ministry, and she's on her pathway of purpose, and she should be independent in that pursuit, single-minded, focused, right? She doesn't have to consider a man until a man finds her.
Right.
The independent-minded woman shuns a love relationship and says, both in action and in speech, I don't need a man.
Right.
And that's the difference. And so we have to define that. And so, Kelvin, I know you'll drop us some wisdom nuggets on the independent-minded woman, because that's the woman that has to be addressed, because the independent woman, she's doing her thing as she should be, like Ruth, serving in that field until she's found.
Yeah. And you know what? I think that women have to, these women particularly have to understand both of those roles as well, right? Because it's easy to slip from one to the other, right?
Okay.
When you're accustomed to managing everything, taking care of everything, it can. And I think my girl T Marie was here a couple weeks ago talking about it. She said, "Look, it's very difficult." She's like, "No woman wants to be able to have to take care of everything, right? But she will if that's the only choice, right?" And so it's easy to go from the independent behavior to the independent-minded person. Like it's easy, but one thing I've learned is that if there's no space for a man's presence in a woman's life, he won't be there.
That's right.
Like if there's no space for him, if there's no reason for him to be there, he won't be there.
That's right.
You know, and so it's a very delicate balance. It's a very delicate balance. What do you guys think? What's your thoughts?
Purpose. Yeah. You just hit the nail on the head, Coach Kelvin.
Purpose.
And I love the perspective that you're bringing, Coach Kelvin, because purpose is everything, man.
Yeah.
Purpose, number one, is the reason for our existence. So to your point that you just wonderfully articulated, if a man doesn't see his purpose in a woman's life, if there's no reason for my existence and you got all this, then what am I here for? A man, just like a woman, needs to feel needed.
Yeah.
It is a real human thing. And I think, again, Coach Kelvin, Brother Kwanu, the independent mindset, and we as men have it too. There's a whole lot of men out here that think they don't need a woman, and all they need her for is occasional sex. And those brothers are dangerous. And they'll never be able to fulfill their purpose and maximize their potential in totality until they understand their need for the woman. She not only has a natural womb, but she has a spiritual womb to help you birth your dreams, visions, and ideas. How are you bringing dreams, visions, and ideas into the earth realm in the manifestation, and you don't have the loving support of a woman?
That's right.
There is no Barack Obama without Michelle.
That's right. That's right.
Absolutely.
Hello, how y'all doing?
That's right.
So,
true words.
Coach Kelvin, Kwanu, purpose is everything. So, to Kwanu's point that he was making earlier, having a level of sameness in terms of what we do. No, we don't have to be in the same field. We don't have to be in the same vocation. We don't have to have the same type of business. But what she does has to complement what I do. What I do has to complement what she does. And that's what I call in what I teach in my workshops, in my coaching, Coach Kelvin, I talk about COP, compatibility of purpose. When we have compatibility of purpose, guess what? The late great Dr. Miles Monroe said, y'all don't need to be focused on just being in love to get married. You need to focus on purpose.
Fact. That's a fact. I
had that whole drug, that euphoria of, oh my God, I'm so in love. Oh my God.
Comes, go. Come, go.
That comes and goes. You know what I mean? And we've all felt that, oh my God, I'm so in love. You know, and we've all felt that. right? We've all been swooned, by the whole feeling of love. And especially if you had sex and the sex was good, you really thought you was in love.
Right.
But really, your nose was just wide open. You've been clucked out.
Yeah. Oxytocin.
Yeah.
That oxytocin,
Yeah.
that drug.
Yeah.
You got an overdose
Yeah.
of the oxytocin.
Yeah.
Is
Yes,
what
sir.
happened. They
Yeah.
call oxytocin the love drug. They call it the
Yeah.
love hormone.
Mhm.
Right? And so it seduces you into feeling like this is real love, when in
Yeah.
reality, it's a lustful, sensual connection
Yeah.
that may not give you the spiritual connection
Right.
that allows you to build together.
Right.
Yeah. That's a fact. That's a fact. And you know, one of the things that I think stops that part from really being that real connection is time, right? People don't give the relationship enough time to develop. Because
Yes,
if you jump to that part that you just talked about, like all the oxytocin and the feeling and the love drug, you'll be high thinking that this is something substantial. You'll think your feet are on the ground, but you're actually up in the air.
Yep.
And
doing fine on cloud nine.
Yeah.
doing fine on cloud nine. And when you wake up and you get a clear moment, you say, uh-oh, wait a minute. Our futures don't match. So that's one of the things I talk about is yes, you're looking at them, they looking at you, and you guys seems like boom, especially if you get together, you have sex, boom, now we got something. Oh, he's the greatest. He's the best thing ever. And you really don't know them. And so the question is, yeah, he's the greatest thing and the best thing ever today. But do our futures match?
Right.
5 years from now, are we going in the same direction? And where was that person going in that direction anyway, whether you were going there or not? Boom,
Exactly.
down the road, then your futures match. And if your futures match and the sex is good, you got something. you got
that's true, because I think for men, and I think women also, you need someone that's going to inspire you as opposed to trying to hold you back. Like, give you, for instance, I'm on my grind, I'm working, I'm doing my music. If I meet someone that pulls me away from what I'm doing, that's not good. Or if I pull them away from what they're doing, then that's not good. That's the first sign. You pulling somebody away from their purpose, And men, we need to say, you know what, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. We have to apply our own brakes.
Hey, Kwanu, can I jump in there, brother?
Yes.
Because I think, I don't know if you or Coach Kelvin mentioned it earlier. I think you mentioned it, Kwanu, about when a woman gets all up in the air and gets all frantic and gets all upset, and all this anger, this hostility is coming forth. Where is that coming from, and how do we deal with it, right? And so you talked about getting quiet, which is a beautiful gift, because that completely aligns with Proverbs 15:1. A soft answer, or sometimes a no answer, turns away wrath, right?
Yeah.
So now watch this. Because men and women look through two different sets of lens, all right? Dr. Emerson Eggerichs talks about this in his book, Love and Respect, which is a book that I've been using for premarital counseling for about the last 10, 11 years. Love and Respect by Dr. Emerson Eggerichs. And so he talks about that women look through things in life through a pink set of lens, and we're looking through a blue set of lens.
Okay.
So we can be looking at and talking about, Brother Kwanu, the same exact situation, but seeing it totally differently.
Totally different.
And so I think, Coach Kelvin, where the independent woman who, if you talk to independent women who are very successful, most of them will tell you, I don't want to keep doing all this by myself.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about, I have beautiful friends and sisters who are high 6-figure and 7-figure earners. And they will tell you straight up, I don't want to do all this by myself. I'm not supposed to be doing all this by myself, because they've realized they've reached the so-called pinnacle of success and you got up there and you figured out, hamburger, this is no fun if you don't have it to share. If you don't have it, share someone, have someone to share it with, right?
Making memories.
Yeah.
Yep.
And men are finding the same thing out.
Yep.
Yeah, I can for a while, for a season, I can be out here being the player from the Himalayas. I can do all that for a while. But after a while, it gets lonely when you're just trying to find out the next chick you want to sleep with, who you're going to take on the trip, who you're going to flew out. That gets lonely after a while. You want to have constant companionship, especially, as we're saying, gentlemen, someone who aligns with your purpose, someone, Coach Kelvin, that you can see yourself building a future with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, good stuff. You guys, we still got the calling number here. If anybody wants to call in, we would love to have you call in and have the conversation. My girl, D. Renee Smith, she said, "Amen to that." She liked what you had to say, Demetrius. He also liked what you had to say in that. But it's totally true. It's totally true, and one of the things that, as I'm talking to my clients, right, and talking about, like, many of my clients, they're in the ladies, they're in their mid 40s, early 50s, and they want to know, like this new world of dating. Many of them have been married before and are now looking to get back into the market, right? And so one of the things I talk to them about is understanding how men think, right? I want to get down to the core man, right? The core man finds a masculine man finds femininity almost impossible to
Understand.
ignore, to understand and ignore.
Yeah,
it's almost impossible, right? So look, that scripture of a soft answer turned to the way wrath. Right? Sometimes that loud voice, how come you don't, and why didn't you? That is that masculine energy can only be met with masculine energy on the other side, right? But when you sit in your femininity, when you sit in the softness and the blessing of femininity, a man has to come to you and has to come down and receive that, right? A man has to receive that. You all raging and you're all upset, and she comes to you and says, "What's wrong, honey? What can I do for you to help you to feel good about this situation? How can I bless? How can I be of service to you?" Right? Because the fact is, most men don't talk about what's really happening and what's really going on, why they're really upset. Most men don't even show that they're upset, right? What do? We just eat it. We just suck it down and we keep on going. But a woman who is using her God-given intuition, that sense that God has given her, that something's wrong. Did y'all hear that right there?
I did.
That air, that silence, allowing that man to just share what's really going on the inside is priceless. And I'm telling you, femininity is undefeated and always will be. It always will be. But masculinity will rise up against that every time.
To create that space, Coach Kelvin, shout out to Sade. It's about faith. It's about trust. So faith and trust have to be at the foundation of our relationship. And Kwanu, I'm pitching it to you. Faith and trust have to be at the foundation of our relationship to build a safe space so that I can come in. And ladies, please hear this, because I want you to see this as I'm saying it. I should be able to come in. If I'm your man, I should be able to be emotionally naked in front of you, and you cool with it. And I should be able to be emotionally naked, share whatever is on my heart to share with you. Because if you ain't my number one, if you're not my number one confidant, my best friend, because listen, a healthy relationship can't survive with having work husbands and work wives and all this here foolishness. You know, Kwanu is a musician. He got a studio wife, you know, and then a wife at home. That's not going to be a relationship that's going to survive unless y'all doing polygamy.
Right.
So
Right.
if we're going to have a healthy love relationship, which is one man and one woman, if we're going to build that, then baby, just like you need me to hear you and understand you and to do so and just shut my mouth and just listen and hear your heart so you can feel understood, heard, and loved and covered, we need the same thing.
Yeah.
So I need to be able to stand emotionally naked before you and do so absent of your judgment, your criticism. And sometimes I don't even need you to give me a scripture or nothing. I just need you to hear me. And that's it. Kwanu.
Yeah, and you know, and those are some of the pillars and the foundations that latch on to us as men, that link us to our women, that we don't want nobody else.
Fact.
So a lot of times,
Fact.
you know, women
Fact.
say, "Oh, you out here doing this, you out here doing that," but when we get that emotional thing happening at home,
Fact.
we don't want that.
Fact.
You know, all of a sudden, it's something we don't want. You can't be tempted by something you don't want.
Fact.
So I don't have to have no studio wife because I like for my studios to be in my home. So when I'm working in my studio, I'm home. You know, I'm not out running the street. I don't got no homeboys. I don't, you know, all of this business associates. You know, I like for my wife to be my best friend. You know what I mean? And, you know, I think, you know, when you're dealing with a strong, independent woman, you have to really be confident in who you are yourself as a man. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
She still needs encouragement.
And no matter how independent.
No matter how independent, she still needs encouragement. And there's probably 1,000 people out there telling her, "Girl, you doing it, you go," but it doesn't mean anything. But when her man looks at her and say, "You go, girl, you doing your thing," it changes, because then she begins to walk differently. And we notice that. You know, I can see women who are married and, you know, we go to different functions, whatever, they just walk different because they know that they're loved, you know? So, yeah, I respect that. And we really need more of that in our community. You know, I wish there was a way that we can kind of get this thing together, man. It's too much glass in the streets. Too many broken bottles, man.
Fact.
You know,
Dr. G, tell me, what do you love about what is attractive to you about an independent woman? What is so attractive to you about an independent woman? And then Kwanu, I'm coming to you next.
Okay.
Man, listen, let me count the ways. First of all, I'm a sapiosexual, so I absolutely love the brilliant mind of an independent woman who understands that God has placed power within her, that she has the power to affect change wherever she goes. She understands her own worth, so she doesn't always need me every single day to pump her up and gas her up and say, "Come on, baby, you can do it." You know, she carries that herself. Now, I am going to be her coach and her cheerleader, but she carries such a high level of self-confidence, which is so sexy. She carries such a high level of self-confidence because she is assured of her purpose, and she does things that make sure, as Kwanu was saying earlier, he's a reader and I'm an avid reader as well. So more than just the Bible and the Sunday school book and the book on BTU and YPWW, she buys other books to edify herself intellectually, right? And build herself up. And then when we come together in conversation, man, it's constant stimulation. And I ain't talking about on a physical level. I'm talking about on an intellectual level.
Yeah.
And so what I love about the independent woman is the confidence that she has, the power that she exudes in knowing who she is and knowing that she can affect change in a room without even saying a word. That's what I love about the independent woman.
Good word. Good word. Kwanu, what do you love about what do you find attractive? What do you love about an independent woman?
There's so much, but I would say that for me, a woman who's inspiring. It's that inspiration thing for me. You know, I like it when she says, "You know what I was thinking." She started a sentence off like that. You got my attention. You know, I had this idea about you got my attention. Everything stopped because your mind is moving. I want to hear what's going on.
Mm.
You know, let's talk this thing out. You know, and the conversation doesn't have to end there. It could be a conversation that may spread over months, but it's constantly moving. You know, to me, that's inspiring.
Yeah.
That's inspiring to me. And I, you know, I know in my life, cooperation and inspiration are two of the most important things that I know that attracts me.
Somebody need y'all need if y'all taking notes, y'all need to write that down.
The
cooperation.
Man, I'm telling you, that thing is major. You ever notice how sometimes women always say, "Oh, we're going to go out to dinner," or "What you want to eat?" I don't know. But when you cooperate, man, I got a whole menu up in here. It's just something about the cooperation.
Yeah.
You know, and I think an independent-minded woman will argue with you about everything. Well, you know, the sky's blue. No, the sky's not blue. See, the main thing, the sky is actually a light green. Because, you know, I'm studying my PhD, and they said that, you know, he was like, okay. What do you mean, okay? Last boyfriend that I had, he wasn't immature. He didn't just say okay. He just said, where's the peace? You know, and you know how as men, we go out into the world, there's always a war going on out in the world. And for us who are spiritually awakened, we see it on many different levels. The rudiments of the world, it's not the bombs over in China or whatever. The rudiments of the world is the small things. It's the lights that are not changing the way they're supposed to. It's how
the
you
weather.
have to go stand in line and on the computers, everything's it's the little small things over and over and over that kind of weigh down. But when you have a woman who's inspiring, you can come home after being beat up. She's had the same kind of day. I really want to know how your day went.
Yeah.
Because when she's telling you, you can live it, you can relive that day with her. And we do the same thing.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
You know, one of the things that I could say that I love about independent, the independent woman that's so attractive is, you know, I could talk about my wife, right? Today, there was a crisis in the house early in the morning. Crisis. Look, and by the time before I brushed my teeth and started thinking about what I was going to getting the sleep on my eye, she had already solved the crisis and was on to making coffee. We was on to figuring out what was good coffee going to be happening, right? A little later on, sent a message through the text asking, what do y'all want from what do we need from the supermarket, right? Making the list, getting it going. And I think we got a call, y'all. Hold on, caller. Making a list, getting it going, right? And then by the time you got the list going, she done went to the store. By the time I get back home, there's groceries, there's this, there's that, things are taken care of, people have eaten, like all of these things. And I didn't have to tell her to do one thing.
That's the virtuous woman, brother.
I didn't have to tell her to do.
Salute to your queen.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if there was anything special in that bag for me, which I don't think it was. but you know what? It was some grapes in there. I like grapes. Yeah. Bam, I'll have some of them, right? but so having that partner, the independent woman, right, who can see, she can see what other people are not paying attention to. I think that's because look, when you're the independent woman, not the independent minded, I can do it all. I got this. Watch out, step back. I got this. Not that one, but the one who says the things that are in my hands to do, I'm going to do those. Right? That woman, reminds me of I love this analogy. I use it sometimes of you ever see those snipers. And those guys, They down. They looking through the magnifying glass, looking at the target, but they got the one over top, over the shoulder with the binoculars, who has a different view than the sniper. And she say, three paces to the right, 3 paces to the left, take the shot. Boom. Now he had the view himself, right? But having that person over his shoulder, having the mate, the partner over his shoulder who can see an angle that he can't see. Fellas, there will always be an angle that you can't see.
Yeah.
Right? There's an angle, there's a woman who may come around who's saying a little something and she talking real slick to the slide, but you ain't hear it, or you didn't catch it, and you didn't it didn't register to you.
Right.
But she heard it.
She heard it. She right on it.
She matter of fact, and sometimes it's not even anything audible, right?
Right.
Sometimes it's just
right.
It's an energy. Yeah.
Hey, brother. Speaking of the woman, grab that caller, brother. Let's see what
I certainly will. I certainly will. All right. Let me get you going here. We got our caller on
let's
line.
hear from our sisters.
All right. You guys, let me know if y'all can hear this. Caller, are you here? Let me see. Let me try it again. Caller, can you hear us? Let me try this.
Hello, can you
All
hear me?
right. Hold on just a second. I want to make sure I got you in coming through the system. All right. All right. All right, I'm gonna do it this way, just so you can hear. Caller, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes. Can you guys hear?
Great.
We can hear it.
Okay, go ahead, caller.
Good evening. Hi, Brother Kelvin. Hi, Brother Kwanu. Hi, Dr. Hightower. How are you doing today?
Fine.
You all sound very enlightened, like very enlightened individuals. It's refreshing to hear. I wanted to ask you, though, if each one of you could go back in time to your former selves, what advice would you give to your younger selves regarding relationships, regarding finding your counterpart, or anything that you felt like you didn't know then that you know now? What advice would you give to your younger self? What wisdom would you give?
Oh, caller 708. Y'all got that? Y'all got that question, didn't you?
Yeah.
708. I don't know if we even got enough time for that answer.
I'll respond to that, Coach Kelvin.
Thank you for your caller. Thank you so much.
Thank you, caller. 3 quick things. Number 1, I would say always follow and apply the wisdom of God without compromise. That's number 1. Number 2, shut up and listen more. And number 3,
we've launched 12 bomb squadrons from 3 stateside bases, but initial airstrikes will be launched from our bases in the region.
Oh wow!
Here and here.
Yeah, let me see what's going on with
Sir, that is consistent with your request for the airstrikes to begin before your address to the nation.
I apologize. Go on.
Oh wow! That sounded like Reagan.
Yeah. I don't even know what that was all about. Look, hold on. I don't know if I'm being hacked or what.
That came out wrong.
All right.
You and the Joint Chiefs have done a wrong.
All right.
Yeah, you've been hacked, bro.
Yeah, I think I'm being hacked. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So yeah, number 1, follow and apply the wisdom of God without compromise. Number 1. Number 2, do way more listening than talking. Just sometimes you just gonna have to learn to shut to the up. And then number 3, love freely as if you've never been hurt before. That's the advice that I would give to myself.
Kwanu, that was good, Dr. G.
Yeah. I think about that question. I think about that like, what would have done differently, or but I can say this, that my mother and my father gave me some sound advice, and if I would have followed their advice, my whole life would be different today. As a young person, I knew that I love music, so they wanted me to do something different, and I was on a whole different bag. But had I followed their advice, I think that my life would be different today. I am still the person that I'm supposed to be, but I think that if I would have done that, I think I would have hurt less women in my stumbling up or falling forward. I would call it, because I made a lot of mistakes, and I took responsibility. I took the onus for the mistakes that I made. Always sat in front of a counselor. I knew that's one thing that I should always do. I stayed in counseling.
Mm-hmm.
But if I would have listened to my parents' advice, I think that's what I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I got 4 quick things. One, learn yourself. 2, love yourself. 3, take your time. And 4, listen. As a young man, I could tell you I spent a lot of time trying to be somebody when I already was somebody.
That's right.
I did a lot to prove I was somebody when I already was somebody. And I didn't fully understand who that somebody was. Always knew that God had his hand on me. God had a purpose, a reason for me, for my being.
Yes.
But didn't always take the time, believe more in God, and didn't really believe in me.
Right.
And there's a lot of people who are this way. Like they believe in who God is, and honestly and earnestly believe, but fall short in believing in themselves. I remember being a young man, and in my neighborhood, I lived in one of them neighborhoods that it was a nice neighborhood, but it was sandwiched between 2 bad neighborhoods. Kwanu, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Bungalow Park, right?
Oh yeah.
Sandwiched between 2 bad neighborhoods.
Yeah, I was in one of those bad neighborhoods.
Right. Look, and I remember me and my friends got together and we created our walk, our signature walk, right? Because in those neighborhoods back then, if you didn't walk right, you could become a walking victim. Right. Just because of how you walk. So one guy said, I'm gonna walk like this. Right? And another guy's like, I'm gonna walk like this. Right? And for me, I was already tall, right? So I said, I'm gonna walk like this. And I used to bob. I had a bob. I walked on my toes, right? Because I wanted to appear taller. Now I was always a tall kid, right? But for whatever reason, I needed to appear taller to avoid any problem. I needed to look scary to scare off any potential people who wanted to make me a victim, right? And I could tell you, I carried that same mentality through my life in a lot of areas. That whole same look, it's the same thing we talk about with the women, that protective element that keeps you from actually getting to know and to love yourself. And so I feel like if I had taken that time to really, and I had someone, maybe, I don't know if I did or not, probably did. But it wasn't popular to talk about loving yourself back then.
Right.
It was more popular to talk about, what you're going to do, what you can do, or being better than I'm better than you, and that sort of thing. You know what I mean? So those four for me. Learning myself, loving myself, taking time, and listening to wise counsel would have been a game changer.
Yeah, that's good stuff, Coach.
Yeah, man. So, gentlemen, as we let's get ready to wrap this up, man. Let's share your thoughts, man, on your final kind of conversation. If there's something that we needed to have covered in this conversation that I didn't cover, you guys go ahead and spit it, and then I'll come back around and have you guys tell people how they can follow you.
All right.
Quano, you go first.
Yeah, I think we kind of covered some stuff, man. You know, I can kind of go on and on and on, man. You know, I love having stimulating conversations, you know, and tonight this was great. Dr. G, man, you really opened my awareness to some things, man. We gotta stay in touch, man, because I think I want to be more aware on what it is that I'm looking for at this stage of my life. I know what I don't want, and I know who I am. I know what I'm doing, and I know what I need, but I don't know everything, you know. But I mean, like for me, I'm on Facebook. I'm under Kwanu Umanu on Facebook. I have IG and Twitter and all that stuff, but I'm not using it now. I'm pretty much, you know, I go to work, do what I got to do, and then when I come home, I work on my music. You know, I spend time with my grandkids. I got grandchildren, and that's just it, man. You know.
Okay, we'll definitely hook up offline, bro.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, now.
Dr. G.
Yes, sir.
Give us your final wrap up on this idea, and tell the folks how they can follow you.
Yeah. First and foremost, I just want to salute all women all over the world, and especially our beautiful Black women. Women, we need you. Black women in particular, we need you. We love you. We appreciate you. And if you haven't heard Black men tell you that you are loved, that you are special, and that you are greatly appreciated, please hear it from the heart of myself and these other two Black kings that are on this stage tonight. We love you. We believe in you, and we need you, ladies. And I said this at the outset of our broadcast, and I'll say it again. We as men, we can accomplish a lot on our own, but we can only function at the apex of our potential when we have you by our side. So thank you, queens. Thank you for loving us. Thank you for forgiving us through all of our mess. Thank you for riding with us and rocking with us, even when we don't know where we're going. But you're looking at three men tonight who are very certain of their purpose in life. I'm very clear about my reason for being here on earth, and I'm moving in that direction, and God is prospering me as a result of that. So that's my final thoughts. I love strong, independent women. I just think we need more independent women who see their value in a relationship versus independent women who say, I don't need a man.
Yeah.
Well said. Well said. Well said. And I definitely echo both of these sentiments. I think that there is something that a woman brings to a man's life that he often can't even articulate. Man, the power of that femininity that comes to a man's life. You know, I like to ask a man often. I ask guys that are in my space, men who, especially guys who ask a woman, who's just asked a woman to marry him. I want to know, what was it about that woman that made you decide on her versus all the other women that you had to choose from? Because generally, by the time a man asks a woman to be his bride, to marry him, he had a lot of choices, right? And he chose that one woman. And I want to know, what was it? And many of them often they'll say, you know what? There was something about her that was different. There was something about her that was unique. There was something about her that was special. She moved something inside of me. She grew something inside of me that I didn't even know was there. So it made me think, if she's like, if she's a blessing to my life in this kind of way, and she's not even my wife, what is it going to be like to have her as a permanent team member in my life going forward? And so I encourage the ladies, look, live to your potential. Do not spend your time dumbing yourself down to be acceptable to anybody.
That's right. That's
right. If listen, the young lady, I was one of the late young ladies that was on tonight, right? I told her, I said, look, the reason you can't find love is that you fishing in the wrong pond. You putting your line down in the wrong pond. Find a higher quality of pond, and you will find a higher quality of fish.
That's right.
You know, so yeah, it's totally true. So so I want to encourage the ladies, look, don't dumb yourself down. Just keep investing in yourself, keep loving yourself, keep exploring yourself, and even exploring the gift of femininity. Explore it and figure out how to make that thing work, how to look, not it be an off on switch, right? How can you sprinkle that beauty, that gift all throughout your life, so it becomes a part of who you are, not an act that you're putting on.
That's right.
And I'm telling you, that is going to be golden for you and for your life. So, and you guys know you can follow me everywhere at lovecoachatlanta@gmail.com. As well, if you have if you got a question, comment, or you need a Love Coach session, you can jump on with me you can send it to email at lovecoachatlanta@gmail.com. If you want to hook up with Dr. G, he's got the Real Love Nation, right? If he does coaching sessions, counseling sessions, he helps people to find what they're looking for, to get clear on who they are and who's right for them. Hook up with Dr. G.
I do premarital counseling. I'll come and do a destination wedding for you, and I won't charge you a dime. You can fly me. All you got to do is fly me in and put me up at a nice, clean hotel. Okay, I don't have to stay at the Ritz, but I never stay at Motel 6. All right. Fly me in. I'll come and do your wedding free of charge. And only thing I ask is that I have to be a part of the premarital counseling process to make sure that you're taking the right steps to get ready for marriage. All right. Because marriage, you got to get ready. It's not just about a wedding day, but it's about a lifetime. All right. Yeah. So my website, reallovenation.org. That's reallovenation.org. Social media, you can find me on all platforms on the same handle, DRG Hightower. That's Dr. G Hightower. I'm the same handle. You can find me on Clubhouse, Instagram, and Facebook, as well as Twitter. Same handle. I don't have no different handles, Froggy Leg 88, I don't have none of that. You know what I mean? Same handle, Dr. G Hightower.
Nice. Very nice. And all right, so you guys, if you want to get in on the free mini course, Finding the One, go to findingtheone.club and jump in on that. That's our final offer here for tonight. If you guys have enjoyed this, I need y'all to look. I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to raise our subscriber count on the YouTube side. So you guys look us up on YouTube. Look me up on YouTube, Secrets of the Mind of a Man. And we need everybody to go ahead and like and subscribe on the YouTube side. I need 1,000 people to jump on this thing and subscribe on YouTube. So if you've been watching on Facebook, come on, slide on over to the YouTube side and help us grow the channel out. That's going to be amazing. And I'm going to really appreciate your help on that. All right, gentlemen, thank y'all so much. Till next time, peace.
Salute to you, Kings.
Thank you.
And love.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Blessings.
Bye-bye.